Are you guys aware of this story about the Green Bay Packers and whether or not they could lure Nick Saban away from Alabama? Ryan Clark is a former defensive back and a really good analyst at ESPN. I remember when he was a defensive back and he started to become an analyst while still a player. We're like, oh, he's going to work here someday. Of course, he played for Nick Saban at LSU before going off into the NFL, and he offered up, you try to get Nick Saban to leave Alabama and become the coach. If you're Green Bay, you sell the farm, you send everybody to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, you try and get Nick Saban to leave Alabama. When you look at quarterback-coach relationships, Sean Payton, Drew Brees, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, there's mutual respect. And some of this is coded messaging that we're seeing. You go back up, what was the assistant coach we had on last week? The former Packer who was the linebacker coach who got fired for his tweet. Winston Moss. Remember Winston Moss said, hey, it's got to be it doesn't matter if it's a offensive guru or, what kind of hire it is. It's got to be somebody that everybody respects that holds accountability. We're hearing enough that it's got to be somebody strong, which tells you that Aaron Rodgers runs the show there, right? They got to have somebody who not only will stand up to Aaron Rodgers, but who Aaron Rodgers has to automatically respect. And the only way to do that is to go and get somebody like Nick Saban, who commands respect because of the program that he built. But Nick Saban knows he could have succeeded, in his mind, could have succeeded in Miami if he had a quarterback. And Aaron Rodgers probably knows that I can only succeed if we have a guy who's got great organizational skills and who needs it, wants it, has to be good. I have no connections per se. I know people in Green Bay, but I have no immediate sources on this. I believe also Ryan Clark does not either, outside of just a ton of football knowledge and knowledge of Saban in general. But my sense from business, especially the business of the NFL, is this will never happen. Not that Saban won't go to the NFL. I don't know if he will. But he's not going to the Green Bay Packers. And it's not because a lot of things about Green Bay don't make sense. They do. Green Bay is kind of like a college market, right? And you can control a lot of things in Green Bay, messaging in Green Bay, where the players live. The things coaches, especially college coaches, are in fact control freaks. And so they want to know where everybody is. They want to drive the same way to and from work. They play the same golf course 100 times over. They got a small circle of friends. They want everything to be easy, and Green Bay is just that sort of market. You got to know if you need a big city to succeed or you need a small town to succeed. And I'm guessing Nick Saban's like, I kind of like this Tuscaloosa thing. There's a couple 100,000 people here. Everybody knows me. I know everybody. It doesn't bother me that I'm kind of like a circus animal or kind of like a caged zoo animal where people point, and I've learned to kind of deal with it. That's what it'd be like in Green Bay. I don't need to fit in like if it was in LA or in New York. So that part makes sense. Having Aaron Rodgers makes sense. The defense appears to be getting better. The personnel appears to have gone through a process of getting better, getting younger, although they still have a lot of fixing to do, and the running back that they found now out for the year. But you got a running back, you fix it, but it will never happen. And the reason is Nick Saban's not working for anybody. Sure as hell ain't working for Brian Gutekunst, who's only been a general manager for a year. Like, that's not happening. That's not the way it works. This is he wants to not just cook the groceries, but pick the groceries. He wants to shop and then make the meal. That doesn't work that way. And it doesn't even mean he has to be the general manager. It can be a lot like what Buffalo has, right? Sean McDermott gets the job, and then they hire Brandon Beane, who worked with Sean McDermott in Carolina before he came to Buffalo. That's just the way it works. When you have power, you use it. When you have leverage, you use it. And Nick Saban has FU power. Wait, you want me to leave Alabama and work for a guy who grew up in Wisconsin, never been out of Wisconsin, been general manager for a year? Like, that is not going to work. Now, if it was a Belichick guy and they're super close and a Belichick guy gets the job and says, hey, we got a quarterback, we're going to turn over personnel power to you, this is how we're going to do it, like, okay, maybe. But that's not how Green Bay is wired. Between Ted Thompson, who's the president now, got kicked upstairs, and Brian Gutekunst, those guys are Packer guys forever. They're not bringing in somebody outside of the Packer family who wants power and control. That ain't happening. Doesn't mean they couldn't go and get a Belichick guy, but if they get a Josh McDaniels, that's because Josh McDaniels doesn't have a lot of options to become head coach because he backed out of an option last year. So it's one of those, and we've talked about this a lot. It's like the flat tax, On paper, great idea. In practice, not going to work. Just tax cuts in general. Hell yeah, cut everybody's taxes. Hey, we need some more revenue for the schools and the bridges and all this other stuff. Police officers like to be paid. You know what we'll do? Make marijuana legal, gambling legal. That way, less arrests. Well, you do know that there's a percentage of people who will still perform illegal activities, right? And oh yeah, by the way, now you take people out of jail, put them on the street, and they got to get a job, and they may have to have illegal activities. That it's like, well, you were selling weed before, now all of a sudden you're going to go legit when you got out of jail, even if your criminal record is like there's a lot of other things that go to it. There's a lot of good ideas on paper that in practice either have to be amended or flat out don't work. I've told people all along, like socialism in general, great idea. Capitalism, great idea. All those on paper, great. Like you do know that we don't have a complete and total free market. It doesn't, human nature makes pure capitalism kind of a bad thing because then you're all out for your own. And as much as we'd like to think people will help other people, and a lot of us are good people that want to help somebody, not everybody is. Just like socialism. The idea, we'll all just work hard and we'll all get paid the same and we'll all just enjoy all the benefits of all of our hard work. Like, yeah, that's not how it works. I want to work. I work hard. I have a little bit more skill than somebody else. I want to get a little bit more than somebody else. I don't think that's unreasonable. In theory, strong-minded head coach that needs just one championship to cement his legacy as the greatest modern-day football coach, and he could do it with a quarterback who needs another championship to cement his legacy as arguably the greatest quarterback ever. On paper, Ryan Clark's hypotheses work. But when we put it into practice in theory, he's going to work for Brian Gutekunst. He can't even, nor can I, pronounce Brian Gutekunst. And Ted Thompson, two guys have been with the Packers for over a decade. No chance.